So now I'm going to be demonstrating how to do a direct smear on a fecal. So we've got our fresh fecal sample right here, which is about 5 grams. And we've also got our little cotton tip applicator, and we'll use the back end of this to kind of get just a little bit of that fecal on here. And then what we're gonna do is we're just kind of smear it on here on your microscope slide, just a little bit. And I totally forgot to pull up the sterile saline. And I had forgot to pull up the sterile saline, but I've got just a few drops of that here. And I'll just put just kind of 1 drop of the saline into the solution, into the sample. We'll get our little cotton tip applicator again and just kind of mix it up a little bit more. Which looks perfect. And now we're gonna get our cover slide. They're all stuck together. We get our cover slide, drop it on at about a 45 degree angle. And this will be ready to read under the microscope. So the direct smears are definitely not the preferred method of reading fecals, but they are necessary. It is a little bit easier to see things like giardia on a direct smear as opposed to one of the other methods of fecals. And so we don't do that one here a whole lot, if ever. I don't think I've ever done one here, honestly, at my clinic. We mainly just stick to the fecal flotations. But now I'm going to be demonstrating how to do a centrifuge fecal test and a sedimentation as well. So now we're going to be doing our sedimentation. So we've got our fecal sample right here, which is about 5 grams, and we've got our sodium nitrate fecal solution right here. So we're just gonna put a little bit of that into this cup and just kind of get the sample out of our little fecal loop and just kind of mix it up a little bit. Get a nice and mixed up. So once we've got that done, we're going to take some gauze and place it over the top of, we've got another little tube right here. Place it over the top of that little tube. And then we'll pour our little fecal mixture into this, and the gauze just kind of strains all of the big fecal particles out, still leaving that is not working. Now we're going to be doing our fecal sedimentation. So we've got our fecal sample right here. It's about 5 grams. We've got our little jar that we're gonna mix it in, and we've got our sodium nitrate fecal solution, which we'll put a little bit of that into this jar and just kind of mix it up a little bit, get a nice kind of slurry going. We'll get some of the stuff that was caught towards the top of the fecal loop. Okay, so now that we've got that, I'm gonna go ahead and put some gloves on as we proceed to the next step. So we've got our empty jar right here that we're going to filter the fecal sample into. And I've got my gloves on, as fecals do carry some zoonotic parasites, so you just kind of want to take extra precautions with that. So we've got our 4x4 gauze here that we're just going to kind of undo a little bit. My fingers are not wanting to work with gauze today. And we'll just kind of place that over the top of this tube right here. And so we'll take our little fecal sample mixture and pour it onto the top of this. Just like that, and it filters all of the big particles out. And now we can discard of the gauze. And now what we're going to do is transfer it to a tube to centrifuge. And so we'll just kind of pour this into just a plain tube. Let's see if I can squeeze it a little bit, make it a little more easy to pour out. So as you can see, it fills it up a little bit more than halfway. So we're just gonna go ahead and add a little bit more of our fecal solution. Put that up at the top. And then we'll put leaving just a little bit of room for it to have space to centrifuge. And we'll put our lid on, and it'll centrifuge for about 5 to 10 minutes, and we'll come back after that. So now for the fecal centrifugation, we again have our 5 grams of fecal material. We'll put a little bit of our sodium nitrate fecal solution into our little sample cup here, which is just an empty pill vial. We'll just kind of, might need a little bit more solution in there to get this fecal matter off of the loop, because it's being real difficult. Real difficult. But you just keep kind of shaking it off. So what we can do, since this is kind of getting stuck, is we've got some cotton tip applicators here, and we'll just kind of poke the fecal matter out, kind of loosen it up a little bit. Discard of that. So there we go. Now we've got our nice little fecal mixture here. And we'll take our 4x4 gauze, kind of unravel it a little bit. And I found it easier to kind of make a little dent in it so that it doesn't just kind of pour over the sides, but will pour and it kind of takes a second to filter through, so I'll give it little breaks here and there to kind of filter through the gauze. just a little bit more. Okay. So now that we've got this sample completed as well, we can discard of our big particles that were in, and we've got another little tube to centrifuge it, and we'll just pour the solution into our tube. And it fills it up just a little bit halfway, so we'll add a little bit more of our fecal solution to fill it up a little bit more, and then we'll place our lid on, and this will also be centrifuged for about 5 to 10 minutes. So as you can see, we've got our little bit of sediment right here from this fecal sample. This is our centrifuge sample, so we are going to place it in our little tube holder right here. And we're just gonna go ahead and fill it up all the way to the top to where it bubbles over just ever so slightly. And we'll place a cover slip over it. And it'll be ready to read in about 10 to 15 minutes.